Hi guys. Welcome back, listeners, to the Liquidity Lounge, the realm where we dive deep into the blockchain, Web3, and all dependencies. And today, actually, I would like to dive deep into the world of decentralized disruption, where technology meets philosophy and the future is being written in code. Today, I'm gonna delve into the captivating world of decentralized autonomous organization, or DAOs, and their potential to reshape the very fabric of our society. And these blockchain powered entities are more than just technological marvel. They represent a paradigm shift in governance, economics, and even the very definition of what it means to belong to an organization. And of course, I'm not gonna do that alone. Today, with me for this episode, Sasha, the founder of Waves Protocol and Units Network. Here with me today, we're gonna reveal a lot of guys. How are you doing, Sasha? How are you?
Hi, Polly. I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me. This is a beautiful topic. Let's discuss it.
Yeah, true. And hope that your day today was great. I'm a little bit tired, so I think that you can hear it in my voice a little bit more homeless than usual. And of course, I hope that you're also ready to navigate the complex waters of this blockchain technology, dissecting its intricacies and examining its impact on the global power structures. I hope so. Guys, listeners, prepare to be challenged, inspired, and perhaps even a little apprehensive as well. We unravel the intricate web of the DAOs. Buckle up, because this journey into the heart of the blockchain revolution is just beginning. And actually, I just want to note on a first thing a little bit more background session. Maybe you can just give to our listeners 2 words about yourself, and then we just go back to the topic.
Sure. So basically, I've been in the blockchain space for many years, since probably 2014, and I was attracted actually exactly by the topics that we're going to discuss today. It's like decentralization, DAOs. In my opinion, they are like more important than the financial aspect of crypto. And financial aspect is important, but it's just a part of the whole thing. So I launched one of the first L1 blockchains back in 2016. It's called Waves. It still exists. Now we are building new things on top of it, like expanding the ecosystem with a layer 2 chains connected to Waves. And actually, I think I can talk about DAOs because everything on Waves now runs as a DAO. So we launched our own protocol, a DAO protocol, which works differently from other DAOs, and we also like Waves ecosystem was going through a pretty rough patch a couple of years ago when that like FTX Luna situation was happening. We were also like hurt, and we had our own issues. So we had to move everything to the DAO model, and actually it worked out well for us. Waves development was able to move forward, and I believe in DAOs. I think that they will provide some kind of alternative to existing models of human interaction, because I think we are in a dire need of new models, because what is happening in the world right now is not good. So, and what is the problem of that is the governance. All those like centralized structures, they're very dangerous, and actually they're getting stronger on one hand, but on the other hand, you can see that eventually those structures will probably fight each other, and it's not gonna end well. So the DAOs can save the world, guys. So let's discuss it.
For sure, for sure. And thank you for a quick review of your background. Just would like to note it one more time for our listeners so that they can understand like what kind of knowledge we're gonna gain here. And I wanna highlight a little bit the importance of DAOs in crypto right now because I think that DAOs have become a cornerstone of the crypto ecosystem, offering innovative solutions and creating new opportunities for sure. They empower communities to build and manage projects, invest in promising ventures, and even control their own finances. So, as for the glimpse into the key ways that like kind of DAOs are changing in the crypto landscape. From my perspective, it's governance. Yeah, DAOs enable communities to collectively make decisions and govern their projects without relying on any single person. This fosters a transparent and democratic approach, I can say, to governance. Open participation, of course, maybe it's kind of a core point of this, but still, and automated execution. Smart contracts automate the execution of rules and decisions, eliminating the need for human intervention and ensuring consistent implementation, I think. Yeah, so, and maybe you also can say something, Sasha, about the importance of DAOs in crypto.
Yeah, it's like, so it's a very deep topic, and basically everything in crypto should be a DAO, so you shouldn't have any other models. This is not the case now because you can see a lot of like centralized exchanges and there's a lot of centralization in crypto right now. Basically, what people have decentralized is just like token issuance. It's kind of decentralized. You have your token on a blockchain, but the rest is pretty centralized. And you also have some DAOs in crypto. The model that was like started around, I guess, 2014 is called simple token DAO. This is everything what we have now. Like all the DAOs that we have, like 99% of them is simple token DAO. What it means basically, you have a token and you have a community of holders of this token, and they can basically vote with their holdings. So the more tokens you have, the more votes you have. It's just like weighted voting, and basically this is it. It's very simple. So there is some like proposal in the DAO. You make a proposal, and people just vote with their tokens, weighted voting, and it's very easy to calculate those votes with a smart contract, and that's it basically. So it's a very simple model. It's like probably it's a good first step, but it's not really working because you can see that those DAOs are quite fake because they're like controlled by whales, basically by people who have a lot of tokens, either by the founders or some people who bought the tokens for some reason. So and there is no recourse if you like make bad voting. Basically, what can you do? For example, there is some DAO and there is some treasury funds and they want to invest in something, and you can basically invest in your own project and maybe run away with the money. And if you do so, nobody can do anything with you. So you can still continue voting in the same DAO and nothing changes for you. So you understand that this model is too simple because there has to be some kind of accountability for the decisions that you're making. And I think this is a good next step for the DAOs. And what we have on Waves, it's called Power Protocol, and it actually implements this idea. So basically, each DAO has some kind of KPI that it has to meet. And if this KPI is met, participants are rewarded, basically, in different ways. But if this KPI is not met, participants, people who voted in the DAO, are punished or slashed. Like the crypto term, slashing. Yeah, so they're slashed. Basically, what it means that their tokens, their voting power is taken from them. so they can't vote anymore, or it's just reduced, so their like voting power is reduced, and it is given to people who voted better, meaning that the voting that they participated in led to KPI fulfillment. So it's a very simple idea. This is like a very natural step for DAO evolution, but somehow only Waves is doing this now. So maybe it's not like a good time for the DAOs right now, but I think they will be coming back in a big way soon, because this is going to be a very big narrative soon. Because even if we consider crypto just as different narratives, some VC funds love to do it. They have different narratives. They push their own narrative. RWA was a big narrative a couple months ago, and the PIN, all those narratives. Yeah. And DeFi narrative, for example, but DAO narrative hasn't been big yet, So even if you consider crypto as just some kind of investment, you should wait for the DAO narrative to become really big, because it hasn't played out yet, So, and it's coming, and after we actually are done with finance in crypto, what I mean by this. Now, currently, a lot of everybody is solving this problem of like inefficiency in traditional finance. And I think it will be resolved, maybe in 5 to 10 years. All the assets will move to blockchain, and it will make financial world more efficient. So the next step will be to make other things more harmonious. Societies, structures, different collectives, and this is going to be the time for the DAOs. So DAOs are important already. Now we have a lot of like pilot projects, but their time will come, and eventually they will become very important and really can move the needle. They can basically transform our society and make it work totally differently.
True. And I always think when I speak with you that I cannot add anything else, but still I'll try to sum up sometimes the thoughts for our listeners. So yeah, and actually, guys, while DAOs are still in their early stages of development, and I don't know, their potential is undeniable, and they are revolutionizing the way we organize, collaborate, and create value, paving the way for a more democratic and transparent future. And of course, DAOs
Absolutely.
are empowering communities to tackle global challenges such as environmental sustainability or social justice by facilitating collaborative action and resource allocation as well. And I want to know more, how could DAOs reshape traditional government's model as a national or international level? What do you think?
It's a good question. I'm thinking a lot about it, So I'm not like trying to promote any ideas yet, because there is like other things maybe more down to earth, unfortunately or fortunately. But I'm thinking a lot about this. I think that DAOs won't be very effective on the state level. They should be working on like more international level. They should be some kind of like meta structure that basically underpins local states, So you don't have to try and turn a state into a DAO. You have to basically start from scratch and basically create new structures with people distributed all over the world. No, not like not bound by some geography. They should be like all over the world. And those structures would be really able to compete against like local structures which we have been having for centuries, called states. So this is my thinking here. So if you want this model to really work, we have to yeah, I mean, for the society, in general. We have to create some alternative to current states because their model is inherently centralized. So you have those states, and for example, we have some like international structures, of course, but those structures become inefficient because they consist of like very centralized hierarchy structures themselves. So you can't make something decentralized out of centralized parts. So probably you should start from scratch and try to create a worldwide DAO where anyone can participate. And those structures will compete with states, basically. So they can become really big, and you can become like a citizen of the DAO eventually. So maybe you can have some like partnership. The DAO can have some partnerships with local states, and those states can provide some kind of like citizenship for the DAO participants. So this sounds very futuristic, but I think it's quite realistic. In certain scenarios, this is something that will be happening. Because what will you be able to do in the DAO? You will be able to do the same things that you can do, now in your country, basically. So you will be working in the DAO, and this DAO will serve you, as your state serves you. Because, for example, you will be able to, if as a businessman, you will be able to raise funds through some kind of like DAO structure related to investment. Yeah, you will be able to apply for a grant, for example, and the community will be able to vote for you. And there's going to be a DAO treasury. For example, if you want to become a DAO member, you need to like come up with some amount of money, and it gets deposited in the treasury, but in return you get some services from the DAO. For example, if you need some like legal representation, you get it automatically, and some lawyer, which is also a DAO member, can help you out, and things like that. And the structure is not going to be restricted by any geography. It will be global. So wherever you go, you will be able to find some like member of the DAO, and he or she will be able to interact with you. This is something that like maybe a lot of people like read about. Maybe it's like, for example, there is a lot of books which describe some kind of like secret societies or something. Like for example, Foundation of Asimov, if you know this book. So there's some kind of like, or if you know Dune, there is like this Bene Gesserit society. It's something like that, but it's not like closed, because anyone can become a member of the society, and it's global, it's transparent, and it's not some kind of a secret society. It's a very open society, which is not based on the principles of like physical proximity as current states are, but it is based on the principles of common governance, basically, because all participants of the structure participate in this governance process, and this is what unites them. So they can decide what to do with the treasury funds. They can decide what is the goal of the DAO, like at all, if it has some goals. So basically, yes, this is like, maybe this is the future of humanity, in my opinion, when we replace current centralized states with a global DAO-based structure which unites everyone in one coherent governance model. And otherwise, I think humanity will have a major problem, because sooner or later, those like huge countries, they will fight each other, and since we have nuclear weapons, it's not gonna end well. And the only alternative to this is to basically get rid of those structures and create something new, something that unites the whole humanity, not divides it, but unites it. And I think the only thing that could do that, the only model that we came up with, is the DAO model.
Well, and those thoughts really Sorry about those phrases, but really thought-provoking questions. And now, how DAOs, like these new age decentralized communities, could actually change the way governments and international organizations operate. It's a big idea, but it's worth exploring. And imagine a world where citizens aren't just voting every few years, they're actively participating in shaping laws and policies on a daily basis. Like, I don't know, maybe it's gonna be one Telegram channel for everyone, but it's gonna be hard to manage. And DAOs could empower citizens by giving them a direct voice in governance, bypassing traditional bureaucratic, chaotic things, creating a more patriotic and transparent and responsive system. I don't know, depends on the values. And think of it like a direct democracy, like democracy. Sorry,
Yeah,
I, yeah,
something
I
similar. Yeah, so we had like maybe sorry for interrupting, just add a couple of things. You need to understand that there is like similar structures already. You mentioned like direct democracy. There's also so-called liquid democracy idea, which actually emerged before DAOs. It's like liquid democracy is when there's like representative democracy, so you choose some like their representative, and it works in the most countries. But you can also vote directly. So if you don't like your representative, you can like replace his vote with your own vote. It's called liquid democracy. It like this idea is maybe 20 years old. It was before blockchain. And actually, there are some structures in the world that work like DAOs even without blockchain. For example, in Switzerland, you have like huge cooperatives. And for example, what's it called? Co-op cooperative in Switzerland works as a DAO, basically. It unites different retailers, different factories, different actors actually, and this is like one of the biggest enterprises in Switzerland, So and they really vote for some decisions. For example, they voted whether they should sell alcohol in their shops, and the community voted against. So they don't require a blockchain for that, but it still works as a DAO, and we had similar structures actually for centuries. And I think now they will just become more important because now we have an appropriate technology for them, namely blockchain technology. This is it. So some things that were not possible are becoming possible. And something that seemed to be very futuristic and maybe like a bit too fancy, are becoming reality now. So I really hope that DAOs will basically fulfill their promise, because DAO idea is actually something bigger than just voting for some like protocol feature as we have in some DeFi DAOs. No, DAOs should work in the real world, and they should make our decision process more effective. And basically, they should replace a centralized structure when you have some kind of government that basically can do whatever they want, and there is no recourse and there is no accountability. You will not need this like centralized rulers anymore, because they will be replaced by the DAO. So because society couldn't move forward without the centralization. That was the first model that we actually adopted. But now I think it stops working, so we need something else. And this is just a natural step when we will replace those like centralized dictators, and I'm not talking about like usual suspects here, like North Korea, and like, no, I'm talking about like major democracies as well, because they're a bit more decentralized, but they still have a very centralized governance structure. In the US, for example, you elect the president, and this is like just one person that is supposed to basically decide on everything, somehow, so, and it's strange, so I think that setup, when you have one person that is like the father of nation is going to disappear sooner or later. So it has been working for us for thousands of years, but everything changes. And I think now with the technology that we have, we are able to think about some alternatives, because you can see that those like guys in power sometimes, they do very strange things that actually run counter to the interests of population. So we need to like get the power back, I think. So this is something that should be done, and we couldn't do it before because we didn't have the technology. But now we have blockchain, and blockchain can create systems that run on some protocol which is like objective. So you can't change it. It's like a law of nature. You created this protocol and your system works according to it, and you just can't change it. So we didn't have this before, but we have it now. So now it's time to just use it, implement it in the real world, and basically see what happens. I think it's going to be a success, because we can see that the models that we have now, they just don't work, and we definitely need something else.
Yeah, these are very bold and deep thoughts here. Admire it. Thank you so much. And as from my side, I think that at an international level, DAOs could facilitate collaboration and cooperation between countries on issues like climate change, global health, international trade, and imagine a DAO dedicated to fighting climate change, where nations pool resources and share data to develop innovative solutions. And you're completely right that right now we have one that's interesting thing, technology. And right now the possibilities are endless. However, it's important to acknowledge the challenges, because right now it's still um, all this relatively new, and the application to large scale governance, for example, is uncharted territory for now. So um, like, moreover, I wanna know more, like wanna dive into how DAOs, those decentralized community driven organizations, could shake things up in the world of um, mm, how I say it, different kinds of set of rules. Like, they governed by code, not by individuals in power, and all decisions are transparent, recorded on a public blockchain, and so on. Could DAOs become a powerful force in reshaping traditional governance models at all?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So because the idea here basically is very simple. Uh, to govern anything before blockchain, you needed to have some kind of like governance body, so some kind of like centralized actor that basically had to have a final say in anything. It can be a president, it can be some kind of like other kind of like maybe collect decision making with not so many people, but it was like a very centralized structure. So basically, people gave up their power; they just delegated to somebody else, and they told those guys, so we have things to do, so we have to raise a family, we have to have fun, and you decide for us, so basically you're like our representatives, we elected you, so now you get to decide, so what happens, and this is what is happening everywhere in the world right now, but but once elected, it's hard to remove those people, because you can see some countries like that. I won't, I won't go into like politics or geopolitics, but you might see a lot of examples of that right now. So once people are in power, it's very hard to take it from them because they have an advantage over other people, So this model is not really working. It worked for us, but not so much. So we need to have some kind of direct democracy, as you said, so everyone should be able to participate, and not only in basically choosing people who will decide for him, but in making actual decisions. So, like, okay, so let's actually uh, give another example of Switzerland. In Switzerland, you have direct voting for a lot of things. So basically, people decide uh, on not only on who should represent them, but on actual things. There is like a lot of like uh, referendums there, and people actually get to decide on a lot of things. And it basically works for Switzerland because Switzerland is very prosperous compared to other countries, at least. So I think that DAOs, IT technology in general, and blockchain technology in particular are able to basically reshape the way we operate, in society. So eventually, people will be more involved in the decision-making process. So eventually, like a lot, a lot more people will be making decisions. So they won't delegate this power to one person or to a close, tightly knit group of persons, as it happens right now. And it's going to be very hard to take that power from them. And on top of that, if you're like making good decisions, you will get to make more decisions, because your governance power will increase. It's going to be based on a protocol. It's not that something will increase your power like arbitrarily. No, there's some kind of like API, transparency, blockchain based mechanics, smart contract, and they will just track your decision making record. And if it's successful, you will get more power. And if you're a bad decision maker, you will get less. So, and through this we will filter out bad decision makers and reward good ones. So we will promote people who can make good decisions. So it's not going to be based on some kind of luck or some kind of like connections. It's going to be based on their objective performance. And it was impossible to achieve that before. You need to understand that because we didn't have the technology. But now we have internet, we have IT technology in general, and we have blockchain. So if we take those technologies, it seems feasible that we can create those structures based on the things that we already have. So probably we don't need anything else. We just need to combine them, and we just need to try and to implement it in the real world. So, like back to your question, yes, I think we need to try to start implementing DAO ideas in the real world. It's not happening right now, I agree. So as I said, there is some kind of similarities between existing structures and DAOs, cooperatives and such. But we need to enhance those models with blockchain, with maybe with AI even, and we need to try to implement them in the real world. So this is what I really hope for. I would love to try and do that. So we have some like activity on waves around this. So hopefully one day we will create a very big DAO and we will invite everybody in.
Hope so too. Hope so too. But to get everybody in, we have to educate everyone. And guys, if you have any questions for us, please don't hesitate to shield them under this episode. We will answer, no problem at all. Just if you're curious, don't hesitate to express it. And actually, I am suffering from one question. Like, if we can be a little bit naive, could DAOs replace traditional corporations, and what would that transition look like? I'm not sure if we could see it, but still, maybe we'll will. What do you think?
Great question, actually. I've been thinking about that as well recently. So yeah, they can, and they will create totally different structures in terms of like interaction and cash flows as well. For example, basically you can turn any corporation into a DAO. It doesn't have to be some kind of like blockchain project. It can be anything, anything. So it's not about blockchain. It's about the structure. Blockchain is just a tool here. I don't know, for example, some kind of like ride sharing application. And why I mentioned ride sharing, it's like Uber, because I can see some projects now who which basically try to replace Uber with something more efficient, and they use blockchain technology and tokens. So basically, yes, how it's gonna work as a DAO? You won't have center of control there. So because in every corporation you have some center of control, and basically the cash flow is like, it's usually it goes like from the bottom to the top. So there is some kind of like collective authority or like board of directors. They just want to maximize their profits. Maybe they want to also share something with shareholders, but the goal is to get as much money as possible in one place. So basically they collect funds from like all their all the parts of the company in one place, and then they decide what they do with it. They might do nothing. For example, Apple, as far as I know, has like billions of dollars in cash, and they just don't touch it, just in case. So it's weird. So it's ineffective. You don't use the capital effectively. If you change the structure, and if you try to create a new structure based on a DAO model, so what will happen in this case? You will have like different actors. For example, ride sharing. You will have like drivers, passengers, payment processor. Basically, yes, because you have to accept payments from passengers, and you will have more actors, but just let's simplify. And you will also have operator. So this is an entity. This is like maybe a team that creates the protocol itself. So how is it gonna work as a DAO? So when a passenger hails a ride and he pays to the driver, so what happens? Some percentage goes to payment processor. Some percentage goes to like 90%. It goes to the driver himself, and there is also some like protocol fee, which gets to basically to the DAO treasury, which goes to the treasury. And out of the treasury, the team that developed the protocol is funded, so they don't have any control over the funds that go to the driver, because the amount that goes to the driver, like 90%, yeah, is written into the smart contract. Basically, it's hard coded, or people can vote on it and decide what is the percentage. So basically, this is how it works, and you don't need to like how it works now in Uber. So all those funds, they end up in one place more or less, yeah, and then they're like being distributed to drivers, and they'll be being paid out to shareholders as dividends. It's not gonna work like that. So you won't have some kind of like centralized cash flow. The cash flow will go directly to the ecosystem participants. So if you're a driver, you get your money immediately, so you don't have to wait. If you develop the protocol itself, the DAO decides how much you should get from the treasury, and everybody can vote, including the drivers and the passengers. If you're a payment processor, the same applies to you. You just get your percentage immediately. And it creates a totally different setup when the drivers will be getting more money, basically. So because Uber takes like all those like ride sharing applications, they take about like 30% of drivers' income, and it's a bit too much. It's like, I think it can be actually decreased, and drivers can become happier, and they won't have to work long hours because, for example, I'm in Dubai right now, and drivers here routinely work like 16 hours per day. So, and this is not good. This is not healthy, and quite dangerous as well. So we should make those structures more efficient, and when we decentralize them, when we eliminate this like hierarchy, which basically permits everything, including cash flows, because all the cash flows are also very vertical. So you collect all the money in one place and you basically sit on it. So, and this is not good and this is not efficient. And if we break the structure, we can create a structure where everybody gets paid immediately. Nobody has to wait for any payments and for his salaries, because and it creates a totally different, more efficient setup, not based on greed, but based on equality, integrity, and justice.
We're talking about bold ideas here, and it's kind of intriguing question, the initial one. Yeah, and that's at the heart of the potential revolution DAOs could bring. Could they actually replace those big established corporations we know? Maybe we can imagine a future where those familiar corporate logos fade into the background, and instead we see a landscape of dynamic community driven organizations. Yeah, and they fueled by blockchain technology, where ownership is shared and decisions are made democratically. This is like the ideal one, and this transition wouldn't be a sudden upheaval but a gradual shift, I think, as well. And as DAOs prove their effectiveness and become more sophisticated, they could start attracting talent and capital gradually, chipping away at the traditional corporate model. So yeah, and you can think of it as a rising tide. I think as more people embrace the transparency, efficiency, and democratic principles of DAOs, they will begin to see them as a viable alternative to traditional corporations. So yeah, and of course this transition wouldn't be without its challenges and blah blah blah. But about the challenges, I think it's another kind of an episode. So it's a future where ownership is shared, decisions are made collectively. It looks like communism, but no, more like democracy, of course. And it's fascinating, isn't it? But how might DAOs influence global wealth distribution and economic inequality? This is a big one question, and I think that we need to discuss it here as well.
Polly, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right now I
yeah,
can.
yeah. So yes. So can you maybe like can you repeat the question? So I'm
Oh,
just like
of course, of
yeah, yeah,
course.
yeah,
I want to talk more about some big statements like economic inequality and wealth distribution and how might
yeah,
DAOs influence
yeah,
it.
yeah. Got it. Yeah, yeah, got it. Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Great question, actually. So in all those centralized structures, you have a very strange situation where like 1% of participants controls 99% of all the resource, and it's not gonna change. It has always been the case, for millennia. So because this the structure is built in such a way, it's very centralized. So when you have money, probably you will have more money, and your children will have some money still, and they can become even richer. And it's just like money attracts money. So if you have the centralization set up, when you need some kind of like control center to govern, and because without it, society just can't move forward. And that was the case before. You will have this very skewed distribution of wealth. This is inevitable, absolutely. And this is what we can see now. So you will have, as I said, 1% of population controlling 99% of resource. And this is the case even in major democracies. So, and why it happens? It happens only because we have a very centralized governance structure, you know. And based on that, if you delegate your decision-making power to some people, those people will have more wealth. This is like inevitable in all societies, including the most democratic ones. In some places it's better, in some places it's worse, but it's more or less the same. You know? So to change that, to make this distribution of wealth more equal, we need to change the governance structure itself. You know, so this is the only way. No revolutions will help here because we replace some people with some other people, and they get they get their wealth, you know, and they will become like those people that they basically replaced, you know. So when we don't have to change people, we have to change structure, you know, and this is what can be done, I think. This is not what is being actively discussed in the world right now because we can see like so many problems. But if we start to think what can be done, we will see that this is the only way, you know, because otherwise we will have this like gigantic centralized structures like China, the US, Russia, basically duking it out, you know, fighting each other, you know, so because they exist only because they can compete with other structures, you know, so because every state exists to basically be some kind of like, how to say, like an enemy of other states, because otherwise why should states exist, you know, because everybody fights for resource and people like get together to fight against other people, you know, and that's how like those like huge vertical structures emerged, you know, and it works. It has been working for centuries and even millennia, but it's gonna stop working because those like structures now have nuclear weapons, you know. So and sooner or later, so, unfortunately, yes. So I'm not gonna be like some kind of like uh, how to say. I'm not gonna uh, say that this is like inevitable, you know, but it's quite probable that sooner or later somebody is gonna hit that red button, you know, and everything's gonna be over or like very different after that, you know. And to basically get rid of this possibility, we need to get rid of those structures. So we need to replace them with some other structure that is not promoting competition, but is promoting like inclusion and interaction, interoperability, if you will, you know. So it should be very different, and it's not some kind of like a fancy loony idea. No, this is something that should be done because otherwise, as I said, somebody sooner or later is gonna hit the red button. It's like, you know, probably I don't know if you heard about Fermi paradox. This is like a question of a very famous physicist from the beginning of 20th century, who was also involved in the creation of nuclear weapons. Why we haven't found any other sentient life in the galaxy, you know, in the universe, you know? So like it's strange if you think about it. It's not so clear, and there is some like possible answer to this. Basically, once civilization reaches a level of being able to handle nuclear power, it basically immediately starts building atomic bombs, and it gets actually erased from the galaxy, you know. So basically, because civilization just destroys itself immediately. Once they get nuclear power, they just create an A bomb and they just like blow themselves up. And that's why we haven't found any other sentient life in the universe. So basically, we need to do something with it, guys. So if we don't want to like disappear. We need to change the way we live, and to do that, we need to change the way we basically decide what we do as humans, as a society. So to do that, we need to change the structure which governs our societies. And maybe there is some other ideas that will come up later, but the only idea that actually we have now is the idea of a decentralized autonomous organization, which is a DAO. This is like a community, collective, group, society, which works on some account, some like transparent protocol implemented on a blockchain level, meaning that basically we have some kind of a social consensus now, but what those DAOs try to do, they try to replace social consensus with technical one. So there is some kind of like enforcement mechanism that will create some rules for us to operate. And it won't be some kind of like authority, some kind of like police. No, this is going to be some kind of a protocol which makes us operate in a way that is beneficial to all the participants, not to only us, not to myself, but to my brothers and sisters, to people in general. And it can be done on technical level. So this is the promise of the DAO idea, to replace social consensus with a technical one.
Whoa. I'm without any words actually right now. Yeah, true. And I will write this down as for that where like the Web3 is for the changing of the consensus from the yeah, Jesus. And as for the DAOs, they have the potential to influence global wealth as well. Yeah, distribution and economic inequality in the positive ways. Although it's important to acknowledge some challenges, but there are of course going to be a lot of uncertainties surrounding their impact. But still, we cannot not understand that there are lower barriers to entry. Yeah, DAOs can enable participation in investment opportunities that were previously accessible only to large institutions or wealthy individuals. And there can be new asset classes. DAOs can offer access to novel asset classes like DeFi protocols, NFTs, tokenized real estate, and so on and so on. And of course, um, we can foster financial inclusion with DAOs because there is a global reach. Yeah, DAOs can operate borderlessly, enabling financial transactions and investments across all geographical boundaries. This could connect people and communities worldwide, facilitating cross border economic activity and potential wealth creation as well. Not gonna repeat about how it's gonna empower community or promote transparency and accountability. We've talked about it already a lot, but yeah, of course there is a significant potential for positive changes, and I would like to know more about how can DAOs be designed to ensure accountability and prevent abuses of power. This is the last question gonna be in this episode, and yeah, we can continue actually talk about us and future of the blockchain every time. But as for now, want to know about because I'm worried a little bit and scared.
Don't be scared. Everything's gonna be fine. Great questions, Polly. Thank you. Really good discussion. And so what DAOs could do, like maybe in terms of like actual setups and in terms of like more practical things. As I said, we have this DAO model, which is called simple DAO model, simple token model, which is the first step, but it's not really working because it's very easy to abuse it. And the next step would be to provide some kind of like recourse for bad decision making and provide some kind of like accountability for that. I'm not saying that this is going to resolve everything, but this is a very natural step. As I said, it means that basically, if you make good decisions, you get to make more decisions. And your decision-making process actually gets rewarded, maybe with some like material benefits as well. But if you're like making bad decisions, like demonstrably bad decisions, because how can we show that you made a bad decision? There is some kind of goal KPI for the DAO that it has to meet eventually. And if it's not meeting it, so like it's clear that, for example, so the goal of DAO was to make money. It didn't make money. Okay, so people who voted for certain things in the DAO, for example, investing in certain projects, they actually get their power, voting power, taken from them, slashed. And it may be like all the power, it may be part of the power, but they will not have so much voting power as it had before. And through this, this process is not instant, so there's like a lot of votings, a lot of like different decisions that are being made by the DAO. And during this process, we filter out people who can't be governing anything, probably this is not their thing, so, and we will be like finding people who should make more decisions because they do it well. This is the next natural step in DAO evolution, and we are trying to do that now on Waves with Power Protocol. If you haven't checked it, check it out, please. It's power.tech. It's not some kind of promotion, but we're gonna promote it soon. So now we are like focusing more on units. It's a more technical thing about blockchain scalability, about layer twos. But in parallel, we're working on DAO models, and I'm personally more interested in DAOs, to be honest, because I can see some kind of like end game for blockchain technology. I mean, technically, so there's going to be some kind of like final solution, so to say, technically. And after that, probably blockchain technology will evolve further, but there's going to be like a next cycle, and we don't really know what's it going to be about. We have this like layer 2 narrative, and this is probably be the end game for blockchain scalability for the next decade. But in terms of DAOs, we're just starting. This process hasn't actually started yet, in my opinion. So there is so much potential, and I will be promoting our DAOs, our DAO approach more. So, and like getting back to your question, the next thing that should be done for the DAOs, which can actually improve things very considerably for the existing DAOs as well, and show some way for real world applications of those DAOs, is this like slashing idea, when people are rewarded for making good decisions and they're punished for making bad ones.
Awesome. Empowering for sure. Guys, give us some reactions. If you agree with me, I will give you a heart several times. And yeah, and as for the, mm, you know, as ensure accountability and prevent abuses of power, all right, check we can talk about keeping DAOs in check, yeah, and we all know DAOs are all about decentralization, but that also means no single person is calling the shots. That's great for fairness, but it can lead to situations where things get a little too loose. So uh, first thing first, we need clear rules of the game. Think of it like community agreement, and we need a well-defined constitution outlining planning how things should work, including how decisions are made, how funds are managed, and how disputes are resolved. It's all about setting expectations up front. And then there's the matter of transparency. Everything should be out in the open, from proposals to votes to transactions. A public auditable ledger ensures like everyone can see what's going on. No sneaky black room deals here. And next, we need to think about checks and balances. Having multiple layers of governance, like different committees or roles, helping prevent any single person from wielding too much power. And you can think of it like a multi-headed hydra, making it much harder to anyone to gain complete control. And of course, it's not just about rules and structure. It's also need to focus on community engagement. A vibrant, active community is a key to holding DAOs accountable. And finally, there's a matter of accountability mechanisms. So yeah, we need ways to address wrongdoings, whether it's through dispute resolution processes, community sanctions, I don't know, even legal action in some cases. But by combining clear rules, transparency, checks, and balances, community engagement, and robust accountability mechanisms, I think we can build DAOs that are both innovative and responsible. It's about creating a system that fosters trust, fairness, and prevents abuse of power, ensuring a bright future for this exciting new technology. This is what I think. I hope that Sasha, you agree with me on that matter. And maybe it's time to wrap up this space. And you have some final thoughts for our listeners today.
Yeah, you guys. It's maybe it's a bit a bit too far from the current crypto narratives, but somebody should do that, and it's gonna grow. You will see this absolutely. This is just starting, and DAOs are important. This is the next big narrative. I'm sure. Maybe not the next, maybe the one after the next, but it's coming. And even in terms of like maybe if you're thinking about crypto as just a way to make money, you should also remember that the DAO narrative has always been with us since 2014, but it hasn't really been big yet. And when it's big, it's going to be really big. It's going to be huge. So
Yeah, and
wait for it. Yeah, yeah, Paul,
I
yeah.
hope that it's gonna be as huge as my mom even gonna believe in it, and then I will do my own startup in this space.
You should. You
Only
should.
after.
You definitely should. You should start your own DAO. Yeah, absolutely. I can help you with that.
Awesome. And yeah, actually, as for this narrative, as about what you're talking about, of course, we are in early stages, and thank God that we all here can connect right now, because we are gonna be at the foundation of this whole new era. I hope that soon we're gonna all live in. Neopunk, if you understand what is it. I think sometimes Tokyo in some places already live in neopunk, but still, guys, stay informed, stay curious, and let's build this Web3 future, but in decent way. Please, I'm very, very, very tired of all the scams, and yeah, a lot of negative things around the world. Let's build something positive, kind, and decent here. And as for today's episode, we've explored the disruptive potential of DAOs, their promise of transparency and democratic decision making, and their profound implications they hold for our social and economic structures. And actually, yeah, DAOs have the potential to usher in a new era of decentralized power and a more equitable world. And yeah, this exploration to the world of DAOs is a journey without uh, definitive endpoint. I think it's a conversation that will continue, evolve, and adapt as the blockchain landscape transforms. Stay tuned, listeners, as we continue to unpack the intricacies of this dynamic space. And I want to extend a huge thank you to Sasha, the founder of Waves Protocol and Units Network. Thank you so much. I admire our conversations here on X, and I would like to host more. And yeah, listeners, so be ready. We're going to reveal more insights for you. Thank you, Sasha.
Thank you, thank you very much. Thank you, Polly. Always a pleasure. Hope to be here again soon.
Yeah. And yeah, guys, thanks. Until next time, and let us strive to be responsible stewards of this transformative technology, embracing its potential while navigating its complexities. So, yeah, with diligence and commitment to ethical progress, of course. Of course. Until next time, guys. It was Polly from Meets Capital, a transparent market making firm, still here alive. So, yeah, guys, until next time, bye bye.